Hey everyone, Bob here, KD4BMG HOA Ham. Today we're going to get a look at the CHA FG12 12-foot fiberglass mast. This is so typical Chameleon. Long before I was a YouTuber and long before Chameleon ever highlighted one of my product videos, I owned lots of Chameleon antenna gear. I've come to expect that quality manufacturing translates over into performance and, quite frankly, durability. But when I opened up the package and pulled this out and got it into my hands, I just started laughing. Chameleon completely surpassed any of my expectations about what this would be. This thing is next level. We'll talk about specs and features, and then I'll show you two different ways that I installed it in the backyard. This is the perfect antenna to take for POTA or any portable operations. The collapse length of 3 feet and 7 inches is too large to fit on my workbench, so we're going to look at individual sections. The bottom cap can be removed, and you'll see me do that in one of the setups, Backyard Portable. The wall thickness mics in at 1/8 thick. The polymer brackets here are heavy duty and adjustable. So if you needed to tighten it up, you would tighten the hardware. If you needed to loosen it up so there was more slide between the next section, this is where you would do that. Chameleon provides another bracket that you can attach to the very top of the mast and two heavy-duty carabiners. I don't use those. I haven't yet in any of my setups, but that is an option that's available to you if your setup requires that. This is what I use. This is 3/8 by 24 on the top, and then I normally put a carabiner or just a piece of elastic here, a loop of paracord, and that's what I've been hanging my antennas from. This does have a fastener, and that's how you could remove this if you wanted to. You can put that other bracket on here without removing this, totally up to you. And while we're at it, let me show you this. There is a white line on each section towards the bottom that shows you how far you can remove it. And here it is visible to you on one of the sections I've pulled out. There's a window right here in each one of these mechanisms, and let's just see if we can get that on the camera. If not, you'll see me once I pull it out of the top of that bracket, but let's see, right there it is. So as you're extending this, can you see that in my camera? Possibly you can't. Yep, there's some white coming through right there. So as you're extending this, you can actually see that white line that just showed up. Let me go back into that window. There it is. You just saw it go into that window right in here. So that's a really helpful feature. I was recently forced to cut a POTA activation short. I was operating using the LAFS 4010, a small lightweight end-fed half-wave antenna resonant on 40, 20, 15, and 10. This is meant to fly at the top of the mast and the wire slope down to the ground. My bad, I took with me that day the wrong tool for the job. I had my spider beam mast with me, and it just simply couldn't handle the lightweight antenna. So today I want to go backyard portable, and I want to show you this very same antenna system and how this fiberglass mast just kind of laughs at the weight of this tiny little antenna. You have lots of options for keeping a mast like this in the air, and you might already have your favorite method. I'm using something that comes with my PortaMast system and a secondary sleeve that actually is a reducer that then accepts that fiberglass mast. I'm going to show you how and why I use this. And then I also set it up using this ring that goes around a portion of the mast. This is not how it came to me originally. I added spacers so that I could get this diameter large enough to fit around that beefy fiberglass mast. And when I did this setup, I was not using this. Using this, I used no guy wires. The antenna was my guy wire. Then when I went with the sloper, I had to go to this system and use some power cord and some stakes, and then I use cam jams. You've seen me use cam jams before on the channel. The reason for that is I can move power cord to different lengths, jam it into the cam, and all of a sudden it's tight. You'll see me use these out in the field. This is what's known as the top mount for the PortaMast system. Of course, I'm repurposing it for another use. I'm going to have it hold my fiberglass mast. I'm sorry, yep, I'm pushing tent stakes into my soft soil by hand. Who in the world needs a hammer here in the Tampa Bay area? I know some of you are jealous because you could never do something like this. All that's left for me to do is to grab my fiberglass mast, pull the bottom cap off, and it'll slide right inside that reducer sleeve. And from here, I can put my antenna on and erect it. And here is a picture of me using this in another setup on another operation that I did a few weeks ago where I'm installing an NVIS antenna, and the antenna wires run in all 4 directions. So the wires themselves are holding the mast up in the air. I do not need any guy wires. That's one way to do this installation. The method I'm demonstrating is to guy this with paracord. Think of a 3-legged tripod with each leg being a piece of paracord going from this guy ring down to a tent stake going into the ground. That guy ring I showed earlier, I did need to modify it. Make sure you don't have any of the bolts digging into the mast. I put rubber caps on each one of my bolts and pulled them away from the mast so they didn't damage it at all. Now that guy ring is sitting on top of one of the collars, so it has downward force when I put the tent stakes into the ground. I'm putting my cam jams on now. One cam jam will be attached to the paracord and then to the ground stake. The other end of that paracord is attached to another cam jam, which will be on one of the rings of the guy ring. The guy ring has 3 eye bolts, and that's how we have a 3-leg tripod. So this is a bit of a circus act. This is easier with 2 people, but it can be done with 1. So I just take one of those paracord legs, stretch it out, get it staked into the ground, attach it to one of the eye bolts on the guy ring, lay down my mast, get the second string ready to go, repeat the same process. Lean the mast a little bit away from you so that gravity helps you keep it up in the air. You'll straighten it out when you put that final 3rd paracord leg stake in the ground. And if you need to do any last minute fine adjustments, you can do that just by moving the base of the mast one way or another, because we definitely want this thing to be plumb when we start hanging and flying our antenna system. Get the 3rd leg of your paracord tripod set up, that stake in the ground, and then make any last minute fine tune adjustments. The good thing about cam jams is you can actually pull on the paracord while it's jammed in place and tighten things up. It's a very versatile system. I always remove wind noise because it's just not fun to listen to in a video. I left it in for those couple of seconds so you could hear the wind was blowing. You can see all around during this shoot that the trees are moving and the bushes are moving. There was plenty of wind while I'm putting this LAFS 4010 up on this fiberglass mast. No problem whatsoever. It doesn't flex at all. It handles the load very easily. And within a couple of seconds, this mast is up in the air, and so is the antenna, and we're ready to go operate. Every time we make an investment in amateur radio gear, we have an expectation. Let's call it the minimum but necessary requirement. You must meet that and we'll be satisfied. Fall below that, we consider you to have inferior quality. What do you do with a manufacturer that consistently exceeds this and goes beyond it? This is kind of what we've all come to expect from Chameleon Antenna. I don't really know if it's attributed to their Made in USA philosophy. I don't know if it's because of their supplying the military with antennas. Whatever it is, I'm really glad for it. And in this particular case, I said that this mast was so typical Chameleon. It actually is beyond the upper level of what I would have expected out of a piece of gear like this. So I hope you found this useful. This is my opinion. You'll see this piece of gear many more times to come. I have some more very creative applications for it. Talk to you soon, friend. 73.